你在哪里学跳舞的？
美国电影，总有一天我会去美国。
我可以去吗？
当然。
If you've seen Master of None, you'll remember the Parents episode, which explores in a moving and funny way the struggles of relating to immigrant parents. Here, the co-creator of that show, Alan Yang, writes and directs a related story about a Taiwanese man who makes the difficult decision and great sacrifices to move to the US, only to question years later the worth of everything that he's done. Tigertail is a story that takes place over a long time span, cutting back and forward between the childhood and early adulthood of the lead character to his later life as an older man in the US. Now, with all that structural play, the intergenerational story, and the Taiwanese setting, you might be forgiven for comparing this to the greats of the Taiwanese New Wave, filmmakers like Hao Xiaoxian and Edward Yang. Alan Yang is definitely a classic movie buff. The entire first episode of the second season of Master of None is basically an Italian neorealism pastiche, and some of those references must be on purpose. In fact, in a recent video for IMDb, he actually mentions Yi Yi, a very famous Edward Yang film, as a favourite Asian movie of his. The truth is that Tigertail is altogether more conventional than those films, although it has a lot of their sentimentality and their sensory focus. Tigertail opens with this long shot, you can see it behind me, of a boy in a sea of waving grass, and there's also these prominent sensuous scenes of slow touching and long looks. That reference is aided by the cinematography of the film, which is really beautiful. It flips skillfully between this hazy 16mm past and a crisp, cool digital present.
I don't even know
Taiwan
how to
in the
talk to you.
1970s in particular is very luscious, with lots of coloured light and film grain. Yum. Nice stuff. The advantage of being more conventional is that the film is also more accessible. You can come right into this with very little knowledge of Taiwan, its history, or the film movements that have taken place there. The lead character, Grover, is played by veteran Chinese-American actor Tai Ma. You might recognise him from Arrival, Rush Hour, or The Farewell. He puts in a great performance here as the brooding, closed-in older man. It's that performance and the really emotional story that drives the movie, which forms the backbone of Tigertail. In the present day, Grover is having problems connecting with his daughter, and so the kind of crux of the film is tracing how his experiences as an immigrant to the US led him basically to being a distant and strict dad, and his realizations around that. But where Tigertail surprises is in the warmth that it brings to that story, by showing him as a young man messing around and falling in love. I feel like that's moving away from the more standard representations of strict immigrant parents, and in that sense the film shows him as a human being first and foremost, with a lifetime of decisions that lead him to his kind of closed-in, emotionally distant present. In response to people who try to get him to open up over the course of the movie, he repeatedly answers them, what good would it do? Unfortunately, focusing so much on his story also leads the film to a problem: its uneven pace and its uneven level of detail. Some elements of the film feel glossed over, particularly in the years where Grover is starting a family, which are almost entirely absent. Likewise, there's very little expansion of the story around the daughter's current life. Very few scenes of her on her own without her dad, and not many scenes of them together either. Both of these issues mean that the film's central emotional arc in the present feels a little underwritten. It's not a massive problem. If anything, it shows that you really want to see more of the film's world, but it makes the middle of the movie sag somewhat as it consistently references the importance of that story without ever really exploring it. Still, the most important thing for me in a drama like Tigertail is that it can move you, that it makes you feel something, and this film definitely did that for me. I found myself taken by surprise by small moments of tenderness and emotion throughout the movie's runtime, where something profound or moving would catch me off guard. And it's also a rich film, I think, that does a lot to transport you to a different time and place, often through music, but sometimes just through different textures and colours on screen. I think it's a personal story for Yang. He even has his dad as the narrator in these kind of bookend voiceover sections for the film, and I'd love to see more of that kind of stuff. So that's Tigertail, an ambitious, clever, moving drama that approaches big topics in a personal, accessible way. But enough from me. I'm interested to see what you make of this movie, so let's have a chat in the comments below. Have a good one and stay safe. Bye for now.